What is up, blockheads? We are finally going to dive into some instructions this time. So recently we went through a whole side pile of stuff, and that's been organized a little bit here. So we're going to start using this empty shelf for things that are nigh complete, or at least we know what kind of condition they're in. So we have already put the stuff from the Spalding box together, and our aquatic ship is in good shape. It's over there. Of course, we found some of the Ultra Agent stuff, and we're going to put them together. So we got that set up there. And then we took our random Star Wars stuff, which is still in random condition. We put it up there. So we're trying to work on grouping everything together to make sense of this. But of course, what we're going to take a look at next is some of the instructions that at least are from the modern things. So I would gather that this is mostly Star Wars stuff, or things that were in the final stages, or at least the final collection phase. So this is probably not the ultra old stuff. Those are in another box, but we can at least see what stuff might be awaiting us. So we kind of already found out this has got the Ultra Agents thing in it. So it looks like there is 2 instruction books for this. This is like a smaller one. So we'll look at this later to see which vehicles or which pieces, because you got the semi-truck, or at least you got the cab, the semi, you got this villain thing. We found the drone. There's all kinds of stuff in here. So there's the first one. So it looks like number 2 is a lot larger, and looks like it's been a little stressed from sitting on an edge there. But there's the second one. So we got that in there. So of course we're going to have a lot of Star Wars stuff, and this is going to give us an indication of how many of these are floating around in here. So I don't know the names. I mean, we can look that up by the number, but apparently somewhere in here is a Grievous and Obi-Wan on the wheel vehicle with legs. So this was also like the early 2010s or maybe mid 2010s. They did some pretty good stuff in that era, hence why once I had the opportunity, I snatched a bunch of these before finally getting out of collecting altogether. Because I did notice that the quality kind of started to wane after this run. So it's nice to see a quality run for a while. And then, of course, things changed up to the point of like, not as concerned. So we are going to see a lot of episode 2 and episode 5 stuff. So looks like here is one of the Hoth sets, and there is a snow speeder bike. So this is likely where some of the parts from this setup were. Now, this is a random base plate and a lot of parts because I was going to try setting up a Hoth scene. So that is likely some of the contributors here. So again, we'll have to look up the names and stuff later. Aha! Well, this should come as no surprise. So here's our Swamp Trooper minifig set with that vehicle. So there's at least one of those. And of course, there is a second one of those. So that's probably about all we're going to see for the episode 3 stuff, other than the ship. So I don't know where these guys are yet. We haven't run into the Droidicas and the Clone Troopers, but if we got the instruction here, it's highly likely that we'll run across them at some point. So there's 1. There's 2. 3. So we must have really busted those open to get the Clone Troopers out of them. So here we go. I didn't know that there was a Jango Fett here unless I saw it on the box the other day and forgot. But this was the Corporate Alliance tank droid. Looks like that had the episode 2 battle droid, Clone Trooper, and Jango. So this is kind of good to see. So that means there's 2 of these out there in the open. So I did start working on these at one point for setting up a scene. So there's going to be a couple of those. And it looks like also in the pile is it the homing spider droid, tank droid? We'll have to look at the name. So, of course, I had the small one. Looks like the Clone Trooper and the Super Battle droids. So there's at least one of those. Oh, look, there's going to be 2 of those floating around. And no surprise here, we have already discovered the episode 3 flying droid unit. Yes, so here we go. So there's a snow speeder out here in the wild somewhere. So this guy, the machine gun guy, is probably that one sitting there on the base plate. So this was open for a reason. So I find this a little unusual because I do have the original snow speeder around here somewhere, but because of the cool thing of having the snow troopers in it, this probably was a little bit more motivation to bust him out for the scene and probably set one of these up on the stands. So as mentioned last time, we had a battle here for Geonosis with Yoda and Dooku. It looks like there's a Genosian involved. Now, what's kind of interesting is this play set, I mean, to me, this thing kind of sucks. I mean, so what I probably did was I probably took all the brown pieces out of this and then used that for the wall, which we then put into that contraption up there. So there is the dock in the background there. So that's probably where that came from. And then I just took the wall pieces to build my own custom version. Because honestly, am I really going to play with a pillar when I'm trying to set up a scene? I don't think so. So that was likely the motivation behind that. And as speculated, there is a second one here. So sure enough, I've put 2 sets worth of walls and stuff together. So that's going to be a chore to try to parse that back out, take it to ground zero before messing with that again. So this is kind of cool. So we have not talked about this one yet, but I know it is in the pile over here. It's hiding behind the Starfighters. This is the ATTE, and this is of personal interest. You know, I didn't know right away. Granted, I already like Imperial Walkers, but this is probably my second favorite as far as the ground vehicles, because if you didn't know, the ATTE stands for All-Terrain Tactical Enforcer. I wonder why I might be a little partial to that. But also, it's kind of cool. One of my favorite Jedi out of Episode 2, and unfortunately he went down like a sack of potatoes, was Trevor Coleman, I believe. And it looks like also Mace Windu is included. So probably because he's kind of like a dinosaur head, you know, that's probably why I was interested. But here we go. So we've got at least one of these in the wild. Oh, look, there's going to be at least 2 of these in the wild because we have another instruction set. So there's probably 2 of these assembled, and I did not know that. So that's going to be interesting to figure out how that's all going to play out. I don't think there's more than one of these assembled, but, oh, I'm wrong. I don't know where it's at, so I guess we'll find it. But honestly, I'd say my next favorite vehicle of all Star Wars units was the Republican gunship. They just sounded so cool when they arrived in the movie. So during this run, this was a solid unit, you know. So this is not like your collector series stuff, but I felt like the details were pretty solid compared to especially the early Star Wars stuff, which looks really blocky. And of course, we'll look at some of the originals later on, but it was really neat to see the detail in this era. And I just conveniently had some resources to collect some of the stuff at that time. Sure don't now, but it's nice to see that I might be able to make some content out of this. So this is pretty cool. So there's one of the Republic gunships. And then, of course, another Republic gunship. So that means there's got to be 2 assembled. And there, which is I find odd because there's still 2 boxes up there with another couple more. So it's like, I mean there's actually 4 Republic gunships around here. So 1 Imperial Walker, which I do believe this was one I actually had on display somewhere and is still somewhere floating around. Probably a little dusty, but my favorite unit. A story I'll probably retell a couple times. Back when Star Wars Legos first became a thing, I wanted one of these so bad, and they didn't have one. And the first one I think they actually made was the motorized walking one from the Mindstorm stuff. That one's not nearly as cool in my opinion, especially because it doesn't pose very well. And so I don't know if there was any precursors to this one. And there's probably been a few varieties. But at least this era, I really like this one. So glad to have a couple of these available to set up. So looks like there's another one out of the box here. So, you know what? I know what I'm doing wrong. These are actually multiple sets to the same thing. So I'm not noticing here that there is a 2 and there is a 1. So it's actually that these instruction books are split into multiple parts. And I did the same thing wrong for the All-Terrain Tactical Enforcer here. So there is actually only 1 in the wild. So that's cool. So the smaller sets, however, these do not have numbers on them, and so there is 2 of these that were used to create a custom backdrop, but there's only 1 of these thus far. So the Imperial Walker, there's only 1 assembled. So before it seems like I had a ton of money to throw all over the place, I didn't. So this one, this doesn't have a 3 on it, so I'm a little confused here. This actually has a different number on it. This might be the Mindstorm one. Actually, looking at the legs, it is. So there is one of these, and if you notice, the legs are kind of weird. Now, what was really impressive about this, I think this one could actually walk. It was pretty impressive, but at the same time, pretty clunky. But this does say 1 of 3 on it, so I believe this is the older unit, and that's why I was excited when they actually made normal posable ones. So yeah, all 3 of these pertain to... and if I said Mindstorm wrong, I probably have a Mindstorm one. This is the walking one following the Mindstorm one, but not the one that is the, I guess, a more modern one. So I don't know what else we have in here. This could be stickers and stuff. So looks like this was just some backdrop stuff, maybe stickers that need to get applied for maybe the gunship. This looks like something that's got a snow speeder on it. So maybe they're posters, not real sure, but apparently I kept them in pristine condition inside the packaging underneath all the instructions. But there you have it. So we have gone through some things that are floating around here in the bunker. So sure enough, we've got Star Wars sets that we will run across. And then at some point, mostly, it's really going to be the Geonosian one that probably needs some reassembly. Most of the other stuff's probably just going to need some dusting. You know, like say the snow speeder here, we'll probably just need to dust it off, find a cool way to set it up. But otherwise, that won't be too complicated. We've got a lot of older stuff that will probably need some serious TLC. But anyway, that's it for now. So thanks for watching. Hope you enjoy, and we'll be working on some more stuff here pretty soon.